Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this tutorial I'll be demonstrating how to create this cascading macaron cake. This is a 3-tier cake, so I have a 7-inch cake board stuck to a much larger board and the same size cake on top, and filling in with a hybrid buttercream and ganache frosting. I'll have a link to the video with the recipe and demonstration on how to make this in the description box below. Stack all your layers of cake, and then just pressing any excess up against the cake before I go on with my next step, because it does become pretty hard. After that's done, I apply a thin layer of buttercream around the whole cake, and this is a crumb coat to trap in any crumbs and also to trap in moisture. Clear up the sides, make it a bit smoother with your bench scraper, and then take a spatula and bring that lip of frosting to the center. Allow that to rest in the fridge for at least 20 minutes until we apply our very last layer of frosting. This is my hybrid buttercream frosting, so it's half butter, half shortening. I had to use this because it was pretty warm that week, and I'm just creating a much thicker layer around the whole cake. This will work with a regular all butter buttercream as well. Go around nice and slow to make it all smooth, and then again clearing up that lip of frosting at the very top. Pop this cake into the fridge and then work on your other 3 tiers. I have a 9-inch bottom tier and a 5-inch top tier that goes with this. This is my 9-inch. I'm just creating the same thing again, a nice thick layer of white buttercream. And this time I'm not going to clean up the top just yet. I'm going to add in little thin dollops of turquoise and electric purple. These are gel feed colors by AmeriColor that I've used. And then with a clean spatula, I'm swiping across my cake up to the very top, and then without taking off any of that buttercream, I'm just continuing along the whole sides. If you were to remove the buttercream, you'll have the swipe starting white and pale, and you won't get a lot of color or a lot of interest in the swipe. You could do it just once, or you could go around the cake again a little bit higher than where you first started to create a bit more texture. I decided to go in a few more times. And then when you're happy with the result, you can take off that top lip of frosting. Pop your cake into the fridge to rest, and then work on your top tier. Again, just making a nice thick layer of buttercream, and then going in with the colors again. If you do want a much softer look, then you can swipe off the excess buttercream on your spatula, or you could do this. Go around and take off a little bit of that color, and you'll have a much softer effect. Using a warm spatula, so you run under some hot water with your spatula, dry it off, and then come back to your cake, will create a much smoother finish again. Clear of the top, and into the freezer she goes with the 7-inch for at least 20 minutes, because we'll be handling it with our hands later. This is a 7-inch cake actually that I'm using, so I'll go into the freezer later, and I'm just popping dollops all over the cake. No particular order. I've used turquoise, electric pink, electric purple, and gold. And then I'm swiping from the bottom up to about maybe 1/3 high up the cake, and then working on top of that layer, and then just working my way all the way up to the top of the cake. And it creates this sort of texture. Do the same with the very top, only around the edges because the very middle is going to be covered with our 5-inch cake anyway, so I wasn't too fussed with the center. And then I'm swiping around just to bring that lip of frosting back up so I can clean it and make it look a little bit neater. And now she goes into the freezer for at least 20 minutes, because we'll be handling it with our hands to pop it onto the base tier. Make sure you have dowels in your cake as well, at least 5 dowels, and then pop your cake on top. The dowels are there to support the weight of your cake. I've got a star piping tip, and this is how I'm adding my macarons onto my cake. I would recommend starting at the very bottom and then building your way up the tiers. Here I started in the middle, it worked out fine anyway, but if you start from the very bottom, then at least you have that stability because there's a macaron underneath your next one that's supporting the weight of it, if you know what I mean. And add them on in no particular order, make it look interesting, show us the front, show us the sides of it, make it more diagonal. And I've used a mixture of the turquoise and purple in my piping bag, but you could always go with white instead or a solid colour. Once that's done, use another star piping tip, whatever shape you like. I'll have the tips in the description box below that I've used, and I'm just creating a shell border with that. I'm doing this for all 3 tiers. For some added interest, I've got some edible gold pearls and I'm sticking them directly onto the border. A regular circular tip would look nice as well instead of the open star tip. And that's how you make a fun and pretty easy cascading macaron cake with a swiped rainbow buttercream. This particular tier here reminds me of my all-time childhood favorite ice cream, the Paddle Pop. Here's the tutorial for this Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial and have learned something different. If you do give it a go, please send me some photos. I'd love to see your creations as well. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next week.